Hi, Facebook fam. How are you? I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you to Monique and Women on the Move. As you can hear the music in the background, ladies, let's get information because it's all about you right now. We're talking about your health and wellness. I'm going to turn Beyonce down as she gets us in the mood. I'm ready to just talk all about you. And before we do that, we're going to make sure that we recognize women on the move and everything that they are doing from all of the events, from all of the networking opportunities. Ladies, if you are not a part of Monique's movement, Women on the Move, I encourage you to go to her website, register for her future events, bring a friend, sponsor a friend, or take your time to see what else is available on her Facebook page, on her Instagram page, Women on the Move group. I'm going to read just a little bit about Women on the Move, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Also, I want you to know that as much as I am so excited to be here and to do this, and we wanted to do like a Q&A portion, so you could ask me a few questions. Unfortunately, the way that Facebook Live is formatted on my computer, I cannot see your questions. I can't even see if you're liking right now or saying hi, unfortunately. But know that my heart is with you, and I'm going to share as much as I can in these next 30 minutes, okay? Um, so let me pull up really briefly the overview on Women on the Move, because I want to make sure that we give credit to where credit is due. So I'm pulling it up now. You know, you're literally watching me on my computer as I'm trying to do this. And I'm using like multiple phones to try to make sure I get all the information. So for those of you who don't know, Women on the Move is a global women's empowerment network that is dedicated to fostering a digital environment where professionals can collectively share, engage, collaborate, and connect with one another, especially global minded women in various industries with the purpose of enterprise creation, growth, and development. They promote social networking, as I shared before, and ultimately they help women achieve their dreams. So we hope today through our virtual panel, you will be able to take some information back that helps you to improve your mental health and wellness and ultimately achieve your dreams. Okay, so who am I? I'm so glad that you guys are here on this panel today. This is an official Women on the Move virtual panel kickoff with Coach Debbie. I'm coming from my office in lovely Delray Beach. I'm with Marriage and Family Services. My background is I am a faith-based family therapist. I am a freedom coach, helping women to get free through holistic means such as mindfulness. I also teach mindfulness and host mindfulness groups here. And I'm a speaker on all things health and wellness to empower our community to stop the stigma of mental health and move forward to optimal wellness. I do that at nonprofit organizations, schools, and churches. I am always seeking out invitations from churches to come and share and to truly give them information that it's not separate, it's both and. So you can pray, you can go to church, you can read your Bible if you're a person of faith, and you can still see a professional, just like you would go to any doctor. If you were sick, physically, you felt ill, if you had a broken leg, you wouldn't lay there in pain. You would get up and go to the doctor. It's the same way if you are feeling emotionally hurt, if you had a death of a lost one, if you had a broken heart, don't sit there in pain. Go and talk to someone. Get the care that you need. See if you have a chemical imbalance and may need medication to help you. And there is nothing wrong with that, because if you were really sick, if you had the flu, you wouldn't sit at home with the flu. You would immediately go and get that medication so you could get back right. So I want to encourage you to look at your total health, mind, body, and soul, and see what you may need specifically for your care. So just moving on. Wanted to share a little bit of other things that I do. So hopefully you can see this. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna put it up. This is an event that I just hosted yesterday down at Nova Southeastern University in Broward County, my hometown. I'm a Broward baby. I'm originally from Broward. It was an amazing, amazing event. We had Judge Lauren Wren, Dr. Harold Hackey Reitman, Sandra Cooper, who is the CEO of NAMI in Broward. And we had 6 amazing panelists with all different backgrounds, from social change, crisis management, women's wellness, self-care, burnout prevention, play therapy, all these things that I will be highlighting and sharing with you today. Also had the opportunity to host many events, not only throughout the state of Florida, but in Washington, D.C. Shout out to all the bison out there. I am also a Howard baby, born and bred, I feel like, from Howard. Shout out to the Mecca. Would not be who I am today without Howard University. So I have to give them a shout out too. And as I'm thinking about what else to share, I'm gonna pull up my other information for you. So thank you again to Monique for giving us this space and giving us this time. Depression is actually 2 times more impactful to women than any other mental health concern. So as we start this talk, I just want to bring us into that space of recognizing that we all have different trials, we all have different obstacles, we all have different challenges. But when you think about mental health and the impact of depression, to me, that is the #1 health concern for women today, because it is so debilitating that it stops you from building positive relationships. It stops you from building your career goals. It stops you from connecting with your family and your friends. So let me share a little bit of the different symptoms of depression. You can feel a loss of interest or pleasure in everyday activities. You feel a low form of fatigue, lots of sleep difficulties. You may see significant weight change, so that can be you either not eating or you overeating. Feelings of worthlessness, diminished concentration, reoccurring thoughts that are negative thoughts. So when you're thinking about depression, this is not, oh, I feel sad today. This is when you feel so stuck that you can't move, that you don't want to see your friends, your family, you don't want to talk to anyone. And the symptoms last for about 2 weeks. So this is why it's so important to not sit in that depression, to not sit in those feelings, to not sit in those symptoms, and find someone who you can talk to, find someone who you can get care from, and find someone who you can get on their calendar. Because this is the other thing. When you think about mental health professionals, just like if you were to call your primary doctor, it takes time to make those appointments. And you don't want to waste time not already having someone that you trust and you can go to when you need the services, instead of waiting until the last minute, calling and then getting disappointed because you weren't able to get through to the person, and then giving up because you're like, well, I felt bad 2 weeks ago, but now, I'm kind of fine. So, it must not be that bad. No, it's never okay to ignore what you are feeling. It's always okay to take time for yourself, to take time for your health and your wellness, because above all, your life matters, and you are the first person who will always invest in your health and wellness, no one else. So as we talk more about what depression is, I want to talk about some risks for depression. So thinking about your family history, we've all gone through something, and even our moms and dads or aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, everybody has a history. If they have a history of mental health concerns or disorders or illnesses, I really encourage you to talk to your doctor about what does that mean for you and your story as you write your own narrative, as you walk out your life each day. Looking at the environment that you're in. Of course, individuals or families living in poverty, dealing with unemployment, social isolation, or even other stressful life events, all of those also can have an impact to your level of depression and how you see yourself, perceive yourself, and how you treat others. Also looking at what are you eating? What are you putting into your body? What is your intake for alcohol use? Everything in moderation. I'm not one to tell people, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Speak with your doctor, see what is good for your body so you can take the best care for your body and make sure that it is professionally approved by your doctor and not something that you saw on YouTube and was like, let me try that. Because we don't want you to end up hurt or sick because of something that, oh, I heard that this may be good. Always get professional care and professional checkup. Okay, so we've had a chance to talk about our first one, and I'm gonna keep going. I do not see myself, which is kind of strange, but I'm gonna keep doing my best, and I hope that what I'm sharing so far is helpful, and that you guys will post what you think and what you're feeling in the comments. Okay. All right. So that is our first and number one for our top 4 mental health concerns for a woman on the move. We know that you have big goals and big dreams, and we want to make sure that you are able to achieve each and every one of them. All right, so heading to the next one, the next biggest concern that I see for a woman on the move is fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. How many times do we get so close to thinking, you know what, I'm gonna try something new. You know what, I am going to do this today. You know what, I'm gonna call this person today. And then you say, you know what, no. What was I thinking? No, I'm not gonna do that. We start letting this negative script play. We start letting fear change our mind. See how powerful your mind is? When you think about your dreams and your hopes, and that one step that you can be closer to them, all it takes is you believing in yourself and taking that next step and giving yourself that opportunity to take a chance on changing the trajectory of your life. But when fear starts to come in, when doubt starts to come in, it completely derails your plan. So you have to be mindful of that and cognizant of the impact of fear in your life and what you will do when it arises, because it's a normal response. We call it the fight or flight response. So it's one of the tools that your body uses to kind of protect you, especially in instances of danger. So when you feel threatened, the flight or fight response is automatically triggered. And several physiological changes occur, which makes you either confront what's going on or flee. And for the most part, many women on the move the other way. But we want to teach you how to continue to go forward and fight for what you believe in. Some of the symptoms that may come along with fight or flight, you may feel an increased heart rate, racing thoughts, difficulty concentrating, dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, that butterflies in your stomach feeling. You may have rapid or hard time to swallow. You may also have a hard time breathing, shortness of breath. You may feel like you're shaking. You may even be swallowing or even sweating a lot, which is against what you normally may be doing. And you may even feel like tensed muscles. So when you are feeling these threats of emotional worriness or emotional angst where you don't know, okay, how do I move forward? I'm not sure. How do I take this step? Because maybe that person is someone that you've always wanted to meet, and you weren't sure, like, okay, what do I say now? Is this the right time? Is this the right opportunity? And instead of taking a chance to move forward, that fear comes in and chokes your progress. You have to remember that you never want to get comfortable in chaos. And you have to recognize that fear comes along with chaos. And you have to remind yourself that, you know what? I've planned for this. I've worked hard for this. I've done everything that I could possibly do to be the best person for this opportunity, for the job, for the person that you're trying to connect with. And when you're thinking about all the dreams that you have, all of the goals that you have, remember that if you take that next step, if you've planned, if you've done all that you possibly can do to prepare yourself, then fear is the last thing that you should ever let stop you. So I hope you had a chance to gain something out of learning about how to move forward past your fears, how to stop that fight or flight response, how to recognize that in your planning and your preparation for success, that you can remove that false evidence because it is not real, and you can focus on what is real, what have you prepared for, and also what does God ultimately have for you. So we went through number one. Who remembers what number one is? Depression. Ladies, take care of your mind, take care of your emotional health and wealth. The next one is fear, recognizing that you don't have to let fear stop you. You can do it afraid. You can keep moving. You can keep moving forward, but you never give up on yourself. Now, for number three, this is a new one that I love to share at churches, at nonprofit organizations, and with millennials, because this is some new science, actually. And as a faith-based family therapist, I call it science catching up with the Bible. Remember back in the day when we were kids, people used to joke and be like, oh my gosh, your epidermis is showing. And people would be like, what are you talking about? So now scientists get to joke that your epigenetics is showing. Boo, what's going on? So epigenetics is a study of changes in our body that's caused by a modification of gene expression. And that can be from the way your environment plays a role in your life, your diet, what you intake, what you eat, as well as what trauma that is unresolved from your mother, or in science, we would say she has her egg, and then from your father. In science, we would say the male has sperm. All right, we know what happens, you know, how you make a baby, they come together. And if there is unresolved trauma from the male and the female, it gets passed to their offspring. And in the offspring, it can actually be triggered. So when you hear that, what do you think of? I'm talking to my women of faith out there. For me, I said, wait, you know, I remember when I was like 5 years old, my dad used to always talk about generational cycles and generational curses. Well, now science can prove if there's unresolved trauma in your mom and your dad, it gets passed on to you, which is why it is so important for all of our women on the move to take care of yourselves, get the healing that you need, resolve the trauma that you have been through in your life. You no longer need to carry those burdens of fear, of depression, of anxiety, of abuse, of neglect, of heartbreak. It is time to be healed. It is time to forgive. It is time to let go. It is time to see a counselor and get professional care. Epigenetics is still groundbreaking and transformational in the family therapy fields, in the psychology field, in psychiatry. When we think about this, we talk about it in terms of adverse childhood experiences as well. Adverse childhood experiences are traumatic events that happen in a child's development that we can now trace to their lifelong health outcomes. So diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, all of these diseases that we are still even trying to find cures to, they can now trace back to what happens to you in your childhood. And they call this adverse childhood experiences. You can Google the adverse childhood experiences study to gain more information. But for the purpose of our virtual panel, Women on the Move, I want to really encourage you to take time to look at what has happened in my childhood. This research and this information states that it leads to a 20-year lifespan difference that decreases due to the trauma that children have experienced in their childhood. It is so mind-blowing and so important for us to share and be aware of, and for us to take the time to look at our childhood, especially when we know that children are dealing with so many different things in their lives, depending on where they grew up, depending on who their parents are, and now we know how impactful it was. And I'd like for us all to go deeper, to think about, depending on your background. For me, I am an African-American woman who also has Nigerian roots. Shout out to my Nigerian family. But thinking about my great-great-great-grandmother, 5 generations removed, who was a slave in a plantation in Dania, Florida. Well, if adverse childhood experiences say that, and epigenetics says that unresolved trauma is passed from generation to generation to generation, if unresolved, then that means I have some stuff that I want to make sure that I work on so that I can be my best self. So that way, when I am experiencing different adversity, challenges, and obstacles, I am not triggered in a way that I act adversely, but that I tap into my resiliency. I tap into my protective factors, and I tap into my hope. Because that's the other good science that is now coming forward, that along with the generational cycles, the trauma that can be passed on, there's also protective factors that can be passed on. Your strength, your ability to be resilient, your ability to have resiliency, your ability to tap into hope, all of the positive factors that make you who you are. But it's still very, very new. And the best thing that we can do to encourage you as family therapists is to take that time with a therapist one-on-one and get the support that you need to understand what's going on in your present, as well as what's going on in your past. And how do you want to write a new narrative so you can live your best life? Okay, I'm also checking the time. Oh my goodness, y'all, it is 4:25. I have 5 minutes left. And we are at the 4th concern. So our first concern was depression. Number 1 concern for a woman on the move, can be so debilitating. Number 2 is fear. False evidence appearing real. We have to break that false idea of fear. The third one, epigenetics, learning about adverse childhood experiences and the impact of unresolved trauma in our lives, and taking the time to see a therapist so that we can heal. The last and the 4th one, lack of self-care. Come on, ladies. Now, we know we've been saying we want you to get information, and we want you to finally take some time for yourself. Yes, we know you got requirements at work, You got projects you got to support and help on. You got leadership roles. You have community service. You got church roles that you have to do. And if you have a family, you may have your husband. You may have your children. But if you are not well, guess what? None of those other roles, none of that other work will be well. Period. We have to take time to stop the busyness of life, because giving yourself more things to do doesn't mean that it's going to get you anywhere faster or higher. Multitasking does not work. Another thing that you can Google so you can learn that the more things that you are doing just means that you are doing multiple things, but you are not doing multiple things well. The best thing that you can do is focus on one thing at a time, get it done, or focus on one thing, complete maybe half of it, go to something else. But when you're trying to do everything at once and thinking like, oh, I got this, I'm gonna do that check, something falls through the cracks. And we don't want you to be burnt out because you're trying to do so much and too much. What are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? So we want you to take time for yourself in ways that value your rest, that value your hopes, that value your dreams, that make you happy, that bring you joy, that give you time to just be, to be present. I know I'm going a little fast now because we got like 2 minutes, y'all. Okay, see now, Monique, you already know, you got to bring me back because this is too quick. So let's talk briefly about building happiness since we're wrapping up. Women on the Move, I want to empower you to take time for your self-care, whether that is taking time to do a gratitude list for yourself, to exercise, to do meditation, to try positive journaling, to even exploring new relationships, professional relationships, friendships. You are worth the time and investment in yourself. So I hope you had an amazing time learning about the top 4 concerns for women on the move. We have to stop depression. We have to stop fear. We have to stop the busyness of life. And we have to stop the stigma. We have to take time to recognize that our life matters, and talking to someone about what we are feeling and thinking is normal, because it's okay not to be okay. We all go through so much in our lives. And the best thing that we can do is to take time so we can continue to be a woman on the move who feels free, who feels joyful, who feels happy, and who feels ready to conquer that chaos in peace. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to the Women on the Move first virtual panel. I'm so excited to share because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I want you to share this with all of your friends and your family and other women on the move so we can continue to transform, so we can continue to inspire, so we can continue to empower women all over the globe. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Bye, ladies.